Ralph Sims, Ralphie. Told on Jeezy, told everything Jeezy ever did. Jeezy had like 12, Jeezy had more statements on him than me.
I had the phone records and 2 witnesses prepared to testify for what would have been a rock-solid RICO murder case. But for reasons that were never explained to me, the U.S. Attorney's Office declined prosecution, and rapper number 1 went on to have a phenomenally successful career.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Y'all know my slogan. I don't know it all, but I know what I've been through. Now, before we get into this video, make sure you check us out on Patreon at www.patreon.com/Hookah Anonymous _. You guys been telling us to create one for the longest, so we recently created a community where we will upload videos that we can't share on YouTube due to their guidelines. We'll also be dropping the latest to there first, behind the scenes information that you wouldn't find anywhere else on our socials. So make sure you become a member, and after you do that, head over to our official Instagram page at Hookah Anonymous _ and follow us there. Now without further ado, let's get into what you guys came here to see. Now, we have a crazy revelation made by a former FBI agent who basically said something without saying it. You know when someone wants to say something, but for some reason or another, I guess they can't, so they just throw a little subliminals and metaphors, but it's clear as day who they're talking about. Yeah, it's one of those. And it's crazy because it's different from the average person telling you that this one told or that one cooperated with law enforcement. But when you have an ex-FBI agent themselves coming out and telling you that yes, he or she did cooperate to some degree, then that's when you know it's real. Now, to be honest, after all these years, I don't know why this former FBI agent decided to come out and let the world know that a certain rapper told back in the day to get out of a case, but that's between him and God. On the other hand, it seems like the whole time, Blue Da Vinci may have been right. Now, when it comes to Atlanta rapper Young Jeezy, he told the world to trap or die back in the early 2000s, and when he first came to the scene, he had this big drug dealer mystique about him, in which played right into his character as a rapper, because he was not only rapping about drugs, but he was widely known to be associated with one of the biggest drug empires to ever do it at the time, known as Black Mafia Family, aka BMF. At the time, those 3 letters were able to get you a pass for just about anything, and that's who Jeezy had backing him at the time of his entrance into the game. However, when the whole BMF empire fell out, Big Meech, along with his brother T, was arrested for drug trafficking and money laundering back in 2005. Them, along with a bunch of others associated with them, were indicted and sent to prison. From the lowest level players within the organization to the highest ranking members, the Fed secured convictions by targeting Meech and T under the Continuing Criminal Enterprise statute, and both of them were sentenced to 30 years for their roles. According to prosecutors, their organization stretched all the way throughout the United States, having Mexican cartel ties, and their main hub been stationed in Atlanta. Prosecutors believe during their run, BMF made over $270 million. So with all that being said, with the biggest of the bosses getting 30-year sentences and everyone else affiliated with the gang getting anywhere from 2 to 3 years, 10, anyone that's affiliated with them in any way, shape, or form, you would think they would get some type of time, especially if you're someone like Young Jeezy, who openly glorified selling drugs in his raps and being affiliated with BMF. But ironically, no. When the indictments came, almost everyone except Jeezy was indicted on charges. It was 2 sides of the spectrum when it came to people saying that Jeezy wasn't indicted at all. One side, people felt that Jeezy was just smart and was able to escape with his hands clean because he separated himself at the right time and became a rapper. But then you have those that feel like Jeezy wasn't as smart as people think, and in fact, he might have cooperated with law enforcement against BMF. One of those people happened to be BMF member himself, Blue Da Vinci. At the time, many people just felt like Blue Da Vinci was being salty, being that Blue Da Vinci was a rapper first, a part of BMF, but not getting the type of push and notoriety that Jeezy got when he became affiliated with BMF. One may think that Blue was just trying to sabotage Jeezy's street credit, because after serving his prison sentence after being indicted, he will go on a campaign letting the world know that Jeezy isn't who he say he is, and his name was in paperwork within the indictment, but he never got indicted with them. Despite other members who did, naming Jeezy as one of the guys who actually sold drugs for BMF.
Was Jeezy in the paperwork?
Hell yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's public information. You can look up right now on your phone. Man testifies about Jeezy's cocaine selling. Type in your phone something like that. You're going to see one of the who name it lights. Ralph Sims, the same that told about the limo that tried to say I told. Ralph Sims, Ralphie. Told on Jeezy, told everything Jeezy ever did. Jeezy had like 12, Jeezy had more statements on him than me. You talking about? But nah, he didn't get indicted because he did some more other, I feel like that. I know some things he did, like he turned Meech cars into the feds. That same Porsche truck and that Ferrari I was talking about a while before, he came to Miami and doing some lie detector tests about this gun case he caught one year in 06 when I went to go meet him. We had a shootout, not against him, but some other, like when me and him start trying to talk, some other popped it off with us and we end up having a shootout. Okay, I met Jeezy, bro, in the parking lot of Magic City. He was broke down in the old school. By the time Jeezy got his record deal, we had moved that around on a burgundy tour bus for I don't know how many months, and Meech was paying the DJs, and every club that we went through throwing money, $3,000, $5,000 to play nothing but Jeezy's music. This was part of the promo. We went all around the Chitlin circuit doing. Jeezy in Atlanta was known as BMF during this time, and the crew of BMF, before we went to jail and all that, was uphailing Jeezy as a BMF member. So the people in the streets was rocking with him. He was BMF. Can't nobody denounce or deny that when Jeezy first dropped, he was claiming that he was a part of BMF. Even all the snitches that told in the indictments tell you go to the internet. You type in this said Jeezy did this from BMF, and then you're gonna see all these statements pop and say what Jeezy was doing. He was with us, a part of us. He never supposed to separate from us to do it, but because of that double homicide, get scared, bro. Don't be really built like that. We want to be entertainment for real from the jump. Like, oh, hold on, man, and it might be over for these, man. They didn't charge me with a double homicide. This is what's going on during that time. He's in my studio session. Man, it might be over for him, but at the same time, he got to go up the hill and kick it with Meech because I got him going up there to bring Meech from Magic City because all the BMF members is gone until we figure out what's going on with the case. Only person that's still there in the studio for me is who? Jeezy.
Now when Vinci says some whole nother ish and admit that Jeezy allegedly helped the feds obtain Meech cars, you may be wondering what's the whole other ish. Well, this is because Blue, along with a few others, believe that Jeezy basically did a swap out with the feds, whereas they had him for one crime, but basically if he offered information on another bigger crime, then he would be granted immunity. Now, I'm not saying that's exactly what it was, but these are the rumors in which why people believe that Jeezy was able to escape the BMF RICO indictment despite his name being mentioned by a few members who were. Now, remember when Gucci Mane and Young Jeezy was beefing? Come to find out, it was a minor dispute that turned lethal over the song they did together called So Icy. According to Gucci Mane, he thought Jeezy was real until Jeezy wanted the song on his album for him due to it being such a big song at the time, but Gucci refused because it was his song that he wanted for his album.
What's going on with you and Jeezy?
I thought it was a real nigga, but you know, they was carbon copy, man. Like Oreo.
What's got you feeling that way, man?
They be doing a little bit, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like a little bit.
So what really was the beginning of the end and making you feel this way that you feel right now?
Nigga tried to get my song on his album, he couldn't do it, you know what I mean? Just came out of it.
When was the first time you heard a diss record from Jeezy?
I was doing a show in Tampa, Florida, and while I was riding out, we heard it on the radio.
How's Gucci Mane handling the situation right now?
Everything's cool, man, you know what I'm saying? I've been beefing with niggas in the hood all my life, you know what I'm saying? But it's like one of the weakest I ever beef with. So it really ain't no problem.
Well, all right, so you got some diss records coming out, or like, you know, what's going on with Gucci?
I got a couple disses on the album.
On the album, okay.
So everybody go check it out down here, you know what I'm saying, what I got to say.
All right. Now, just recently, I mean, you were involved in a very serious situation. Can you talk about what's going on with that?
On the path to be a rap legend, a lot of got nothing in the way, you know what I'm saying?
All right, no doubt.
And I'm definitely on the path to being a rap legend, so I ever heard I got to jump, I'm a jump. Like a track star.
Now that hurdle that Gucci Mane is talking about, maybe it's a situation where he had to protect himself and defend his life, where him defending his life would end up with a man by the name of Pookie Loc losing his life in the process. Legend has it that on May 10th, 2005, Gucci Mane was leaving a nightclub with a girl going back to his home in Decatur, Georgia. Reports say that Gucci Mane and the girl was followed back to his home by a group of men, believing to be 4 to 5 suspects. When Gucci Mane got into the house, he was ambushed by the men, and the woman he was with was pistol whipped. It's not much known about how Gucci was able to fight off the men, but we know that shots were fired at the intruders, causing them to flee the house. Now come to find out, one of the suspects was shot in the back in the process, and his body was later found by a nearby middle school days later, where he must have collapsed trying to run away. Now on May 19th, Gucci Mane was charged with taking a life, and that very day he turned himself in with his lawyer.
He's not going to say anything, okay? He's a murder suspect, and I'm his lawyer, and I'm not going to let him say anything. Basically what happened, to make a long story real short, he visited a young lady, went over to her place. She was there, he was there. At one point, she opened up a door, 5 guys come running.
Gucci Mane described the shots fired by him and his party were just out of self-defense. So by January of 2006, the M charges against Gucci Mane were dropped due to insufficient evidence.
Hey, how y'all doing? I got a statement prepared I want to speak to y'all about.
This is because it was nothing else that would go against Gucci Mane's self-defense claims, which means that prosecutors just had to believe what he said because nobody else was there to say otherwise. Now, it was never 100% proved by mainstream that Jeezy was the one that sent the hit on Gucci Mane's life, but in the diss song Jeezy had against Gucci Mane called Stay Strapped, at the end of the song, he put a $10,000 bounty on Gucci Mane so Icy Chain. Many believe that this was just one of the bounties placed on Gucci Mane by Jeezy, which was also unsuccessful. Gucci Mane also hinted that Pookie Loc and the others were sent by Jeezy in his diss songs, as he mentioned in his song Truth, saying, quote, "A $10,000 bounty put on my neck. I hope you didn't pay them because they didn't have no success." In another line, he would say, quote, "Go dig your partner up N-word, bet he can't say ish. And if you looking for the kid, I'll be in zone 6. In the last bar throwing jabs at Jeezy and Pookie Loc, he would state, quote, "I know it's hard for you to sleep knowing you killed your homeboy. You left his son to be a bastard, won't even raise your own boy." Now, it's one of those situations where I guess the streets know more about it. However, Gucci Mane has made strong hints that he was the one behind the hit. Now, if you're wondering what does all of this have to do with Jeezy cooperating, well, to this day, it's unclear where the hit actually came from. However, it has been proven that Jeezy and Pookie Loc have affiliation with each other, as it's noted that Pookie Loc was signed to Jeezy's CTE music label. So it's not hard to put 2 and 2 together. Jeezy and Gucci Mane beefing, then coincidentally, someone a part of Jeezy's music label is shot and unalive during the home invasion on Gucci Mane. Thing is, Jeezy was never charged for sending the hit, but some believe that allegedly, Jeezy worked out a deal, which is why he never got into any legal trouble behind that situation. Now, is it true? Who knows? But since a former ex-FBI agent has came out, he himself have confirmed that Jeezy allegedly definitely worked out a deal with the feds. He's just unsure what kind of deal was worked out. He states that he had evidence on Jeezy along with witnesses to lock him up, and for some strange reason, he was told by his own counterparts to leave the case alone. Check this out.
Yeah, I'm not going to say the guy's name because he's pretty famous, and to be fair, he was never charged with a crime. But we had these 2 rappers in Atlanta in the early 2000s, and they were beefing with each other, trading diss tracks, the whole thing. Then rapper number 1, the famous one, orders his goons to go beat up rapper number 2 and steal this gaudy gold and diamond necklace he wore in all of his videos, and that's where it got interesting. The goon squad shows up at rapper number 2's place. He pulls a gun and starts shooting. One of the attackers gets hit, makes it about 200 yards away from the house before he drops dead. Rapper number 2 is arrested for murder, but is dismissed as self-defense. And the real criminal here is rapper number 1, who ordered the violent act that got his man killed. I had the phone records and 2 witnesses prepared to testify for what would have been a rock-solid RICO murder case. But for reasons that were never explained to me, the U.S. Attorney's Office declined prosecution, and rapper number one went on to have a phenomenally successful career. Oh well, win some, lose some.
So with all that being said, I'll let y'all decide. Here it is 20 years later, and we have a former FBI agent basically confirming that Jeezy worked out some sort of deal. Now this is different from just a regular Joe Schmo making these type of allegations. This is actually an ex-FBI agent. Now, I don't know what reason he would have to lie, but I also don't know what made him come out and say this now. But according to people in the comments who he responded to, they would bring up young Jeezy and Gucci Mane's name, and the former agent would state, quote, "I mean, you said it, I didn't." Then another user would state, quote, "We all know who the winner was, now arrest Jeezy." He replied saying, quote, "Whoever it was, the statute has run. Do you think it's a coincidence I waited 20 years to speak about it?" Now another user would state, quote, "So Jeezy cooperated with the feds on Meech, so when this happened, he got a pass." And he replied, quote, "Interesting theory." So as you can see, he wasn't really saying much, but what he said was enough if you read in between the lines. And it's like he was saying it, but he said he waited 20 years until the statutes of limitations ran up, in which I don't even know why, if he didn't want to say much, why even bring it out in the first place. However, there you have it. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this as y'all come to your own conclusions. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell so you're notified every time we drop new content. And remember, as long as you keep on watching, I'ma keep on dropping. I'm out.